seeing if it was going to work, and then it did. You're live right now.
Hello, everybody.
Technology.
So while we wait for a few more folks to hop on here, I don't know what mic is being used because Rochelle clicked it so fast.
I panicked. You should X out of the one behind it.
I get to see marriage teamwork right now. All right, so I can't hear anything yet. How do you guys hear me? Is it through the microphone or is it through the laptop?
Audio sounds good.
But which one is it?
Loud and clear.
Laptop.
Laptop.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Go with the laptop.
You see the mic, but the mic isn't working. It's Rochelle's fault.
Hey, I'm the one who figured out how to make it work. Safari was not having it.
Well,
Thanks, everybody, for joining.
we see you and we hear you. Sweet. Well, welcome to a premiere night. This is a big one for us. Where's the third gen 4Runner? It's parked out there. I was driving it all day.
I drove it today, too.
Yeah. Where should we begin?
I would wait for a few more people to come on to say hi.
There's 145 people already.
Holy cow.
That's a lot of people waiting
Thanks,
for
guys.
the next whoever.
You can call out some awesome people that are
There's too many to call out.
go fast. Jimmy Lewis. I know that guy.
I know that guy too. Yeah, so many. FJ Cruiser build needs to happen. Probably not. Sorry. Crushing Dreams. Sam Evans from Australia. Wow. When are we coming back to Costa Rica? I don't know. Shelly?
Ooh.
Shelly, you're in my light.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Trying to steal my light.
How about now?
The puns. I've got a couple trucks behind me too. I got Atigun, got Samson. Raven just left to go to Phoenix for the Pennzoil Midwestern distribution event or something like that. So if you guys can go down there, if you're in that area and are allowed to go to that show, I'm not really sure what that show is much about, but the convoy or the transport truck picked it up today and it'll be down there. Yeah. Do you have a list for me, Shell, on like the talking points that we're going to get after? Tonight we want to, I do know we want to talk about Alaska and we want to talk about truck builds and these truck builds in particular. Now, Samson right here, it did not go on this trip, only Atigun did. And as you can see today, we've officially launched the PCOR trayback system for Patriot Campers, which is right there. And then off to the side back there, there's X3, our longest running Tacoma. Yeah, all of these are phenomenally good trucks, but they just keep getting better. And that's what we keep working on, is making our trucks better and better and better as much as possible with the new technologies coming out, experimenting with new stuff. I will say that a lot of people say, oh, I could never afford one of those trucks. Why would I care? I totally understand. No, these trucks are state of the art, but we strive to build them that way. I'm not looking to build budget trucks. I'm looking to try and build the very best trucks. I'm in my mind, I'm trying to build the Formula One vehicle of the Overland space, you know, in what I can do. So if you don't watch Formula One because you can't buy a Formula One car, then I guess that's on you. But we are here to build the very best we can, learn things and push it into the industry. A lot of our partners, a lot of the great people that we get to work with are always asking us for our feedback on what works, how is the install process, was it intuitive, for one, to make better products for them, but honestly to make a better product for you guys and for me, the end user as well. So that I love that. I love that about our job. That's what's led us to become, somewhat leaders in our field. That's why Lexus has asked us to build a couple cars already. That's why we built stuff for Toyota, et cetera, is because they lean on our expertise. So these trucks, especially for the Alaska trip, are the latest. I think the weakest link, it's not the right way to say it, because the 4Runner did excellent. It just we didn't put as much into that vehicle, but it performed extremely well. And it actually had it did probably have the hardest task of all of the trucks because it was towing a trailer. And if you've ever towed a trailer before, you know that no matter what kind of trailer it is, it takes a lot of work on the vehicle. It puts a lot of work on the vehicle. So so this trip we had the backstory. Let's go backstory. Since you're here, you'll get the inside story. Oh, let's settle in. So, being the leader of Expedition Overland, if you ever looked at a thing called an Enneagram, I am a number 7. At 7 to the T. And 7 means, I don't know, you'd have to ask Rochelle what 7 truly means, but look up Enneagram number 7. Enneagram number 7, and just start reading that, and you will understand me to the T, who I am. I love big vision. I love the next thing. I get excited about what's next. If I've already done something, I'm already bored with it, and I'm looking for the next thing already. Well, that's great. It's really good for vision. It's really good for company leadership, but it can also be really taxing on the people that you're working with because you're always moving on to the next thing, and you haven't completed what maybe you already set off before to do, and the details didn't get wrapped up before you're already off onto something else. So anyway, over the years, I've gotten a little bit better. It's like this much. So this year is no exception. So this is how it went. We started our negotiations with Toyota a long time ago. We've been working with for a long time. And this year we sat and talked with them, and they got excited about the Tacoma launches and what we're doing. And so they said, yeah, as part of your sponsorship package, we will provide you with a Tacoma and go build that. So, okay, we got that, and we started building it. And then we were going to modify X3 and get it ready to go to Alaska. But then I was like, I don't know, that truck has done so much, and it's gone so far, and it's perfect in its way. Like, it doesn't need to be modified very much, until we started building the first one, which is Atigun. Actually, Atigun was second. This gets confusing. So we started building that truck, and we were like, man, we shouldn't modify X3 because we should leave it the way it is. And we're going to go through a same amount of work pretty much to revamp that truck than it would be to build a whole nother truck. So we had just sold the Jeep. And we're like, let's buy another Tacoma. So we actually bought another Tacoma and decided to say, hey, all the suspension, all the wheels, everything that we were going to do, the gear upgrades, everything, let's just do it to a new truck. It's a new platform. We don't mess with X3, and we just start off clean slate with 2 new trucks. And so that's what we did. And we didn't realize that the supply and demand was going to be so intense. We didn't get that other Tacoma that we purchased. In the video, I said Toyota provided it, but we bought the second one. We didn't get it till June, and we left in July. And it turned into that number 7 Enneagram scope creep just really crept in big time and bit us. But in the long run, we came out with 3 awesome trucks, and we ultimately did have to put about the same amount of work from tearing X3 down. Instead, we put it into Raven, and it worked out really well. And we ended up building 2 of the very best trucks that we have built to date so far. So I'm really proud of them. Our build theory on any of these trucks over the years has been from the ground up. And in the beginning, think of what may be the end. So you're not looking to be like, oh, I like this piece, and then you put that on. And then I like this piece, and then you put it on. No, you build out a full build plan. And that's the advantage of building a full vehicle platform from, from stock to fully built in a matter of, a month, in a single swipe. You can think through this. Now, when you're doing it as your daily driver and upgrading it over the years, this isn't always possible. But when you're looking at building a dedicated vehicle and essentially you're going to write the check once, there's a way that you should do it that maximizes efficiency in the build and optimizes the components that you put into that build, because you're thinking of the big picture from the very beginning. So what we do is I literally go to a coffee shop and I sit down and I go through understanding the specs of the Tacoma, because we've built 3 or 4 or 5 now. And I say, okay, this is what I know a Tacoma is good at. These are the weights that I know it can carry. These are the weights I know that it can carry beyond what it says in spec, even though it's beyond GVW. And then we start building accordingly. Like every time you think you have the right spring account, or the rear leaf springs, add 20%. If you think you need 1 add leaf, you actually need 2. It's just how it works. So we line all that stuff out, and then we go to our sponsors and the vendors and the things that we have to go and purchase and acquire. And then we start building out the workflow. And that comes down to how many connectors we buy, like through Amazon or whatever, all the electrical wire, all the shrouds, all of the clips, all of the tape. All of that gets purchased pretty much at the beginning before the build, and then it comes in and it stages. There's a shelf right over here that it's full of equipment, and it's all labeled and it's set up and staged for when that build comes in. So when you start to build things, you're not waiting on things to get to things. Well, no matter what, I haven't built a single truck yet that we haven't been waiting on something to finish something else, but we can minimize how painful that is. And we've gotten quite a lot better at that over the years. The on-demand delivery doesn't work in this case, like how Toyota does their manufacturing and stuff. No, I'd rather have it all sitting on the ground, and then we can leapfrog projects too. If we're waiting on things, we can build things in advance. Like say an air compressor can be fully assembled, bolted to the mounts, etc. And even though we got to wait for the air tank to get put in first, at least it's been mounted to the bracket. And when that's done, it can go in. So we leapfrog certain things to maximize the efficiency in the builds. And that's how we were able to, Tanner and myself and a whole bunch, Dan and Peter and Caroline and the whole Van Stralens, they were all here when we were building those trucks. And we were able to efficiently get those 2 trucks built in about a month and a half. Atigun was the last one to get built because we were waiting on the PCOR to be sent here from Australia. It had to be air freighted. Thank you, Patriot Campers, for going to the extra mile to make sure that got here on time. We don't really talk much about it, but had we missed those deadlines, which we came down to about 2 days, I mean, at the end of the day, we couldn't miss that deadline because we took the ferry to Alaska. And so if you miss your ferry date, that boat sails, whether you're on it or not. So it did get pretty stressful there for a while. And if you've watched the build video already, you saw that I had a emergency appendectomy, had my appendix taken out at the same time. So got a little spicy there for a little while. Yeah, so back to build concepts too. We start from the ground up in the beginning, think of what may be the end. So I go and I look at what the final weights are going to be, what we want the truck to do, how we want it to perform. And then we have the privilege as well of thinking in convoy versus singular vehicle. Convoy builds are different than a singular build. You get to take and put in some less things. You can emphasize certain stuff on one truck and not on the other because the one truck in the convoy is doing it so well. For example, all of these trucks don't have galleys in them. Actually, the trucks that we took, the 2 Tacomas, none of them had a galley in it because the X3 Patriot Camper, which is right behind me here, behind you rather, it has like the world's best galley ever. So why would we need another galley in each one of these trucks? So you can reduce the amount of redundant equipment that is in the vehicles. And that's an advantage of convoys. But for most people and myself, even my private personal vehicles, it has to do it all, right? You've got to have the galley in there and you've got to have your tent on there and stuff. When we took Atigun here, you'll see we didn't put a rooftop tent on it. We didn't need to. We had enough beds on other vehicles that we didn't need to put a tent on this truck, which opened up other options like a big solar panel on top that allowed for this truck, as you can see, the production equipment and everything sitting in there. They have a much better, bigger solar panel on top that's always charging the critical production equipment. So you can see that they're purpose-driven vehicles that have strengths. This one was production, search and rescue-ish. This has all 4 seats in it. We didn't do seat deletes because we wanted to maximize the amount of people that could sit in this. We also recognize that this is the one truck that could always leave camp. It never gets set up because there's no tent. You can literally just shut the doors and leave, which is an advantage. So we wanted to maximize the amount of seats in that truck in the event that we all had to leave. Raven, we did a seat delete from Goose Gear to maximize the camping and livability of that truck. So yeah, a lot of thought goes into them, balancing what we need, what we don't need, and trying to strip out anything that we don't and build in redundancies and things that are critical. Mission criticals like awnings. We put awnings on everything because they're so functional and handy, and they break too. Shelly,
I'm sorry.
my light. Just kidding. So
I'm interrupting when you're at a good stop.
Yeah, I'm at a good stop now.
Okay,
So
cool. It's giveaway time.
oh, giveaway time. Oh,
giveaways.
right on. Surprise giveaways. Sweet. 2 hats. Oh, I'm wearing one of those myself.
So shopoverlander.com, we moved all of our merch over there, and the awesome people, Alex and Steph over there, have taken this on. They're doing Overlander apparel. So I don't know how to pick a winner. Do you just want to ask a question? Do you just want to pick somebody?
Jackson Philby is one. He says, hey, new taco is looking good. Primo. I like that.
You're not biased at
He's
all.
complimenting us. He gets a hat.
Okay, you get a hat.
And
So
he gets
Jackson,
this one.
Okay. Jackson, if you DM Shop Overlander or info@xoverland.com and put in the subject line, I want a hat.
We started something.
I know. Oh, crap.
The first one that I saw come up that said, I want a hat is Cody Lyles. Is that right?
Yep.
Yep. So Cody, you were Johnny on the spot. You get
Okay.
that one. You
Okay.
get the other one.
We'll do this again throughout the live. Amy, who is my awesome sister, actually, who's actually helping out with comments. Sorry. Since I have COVID, I can't talk. Is helping out with comments. She is going to get your names. So we have Cody Lyles and Jackson Philby so far to win the hats.
Sweet.
So,
We'll have to get your contacts so we can mail them to you, obviously.
yes.
But thanks everybody for pitching in. We got a few more things that we can give away as well.
Yes.
So
I want Clay's hat on his head. Oh, Neil, you will be seeing things from Neil. He built us something really cool.
Neil did build us something very cool.
We could show sneak peek.
Sweet.
Okay, cool.
Well, what next? Do we just kind of go down through the trucks?
I think you're at 6:20. Ask the audience if they want to talk about trucks or Alaska.
Well, I think there's 350 people that'll give you 350 different answers. So I'm going to speak specifically towards the convoy lineup for a minute, get that off my head. The first truck in the convoy was Atigun. And you'll see this throughout the series. We have what's called convoy order. And we do that for 2 reasons. Well, probably more. Main ones are, one, it keeps the driving order consistent, which helps in just the flow of things. When you're getting out of a parking lot at the grocery store to how you stack up in camp to it eliminates the decisions. Like you're no longer, are you going or who's going first? Who's going? Blah, blah. No, it's always the same. It minimizes accidents. It increases a little safety margin there. And second, it would be, it helps us standardize a film order as well. In Central America, believe it or not, there's a little behind the scenes stuff. We had a convoy order and then we had a film order. So because of the hero trucks that we had at the time, the Forerunners, we wanted to put the Forerunners at the beginning in the front of the fleet, which because it gets better camera time. You're rarely filming the convoy from behind, especially in drones, because it's fairly challenging to do that, at least dynamically, and it's risky. So you oftentimes film from the front, looking back. So in Central America, we had film order. So it was Forerunner, Tacoma, and the last, if I'm not mistaken. But actual convoy order, when we weren't filming, was Tacoma in the front, Forerunner, because we wanted to put the Tacoma in the sacrificial front lead. So the lead truck takes a lot of abuse, but nothing compared to the rear truck, the 6. The gunner, the tail gunner, however you want to call it, the rear vehicle, and at least the 3 convoy really gets hammered really hard. And so now we put the slowest or the weakest or the one that has the best visibility, etc., in the front, and then we put the most nimble in the rear. So during this, and then we always put a trailer if we're towing a trailer in the series or in the convoy in the middle, because you can set picks with it a lot easier. People don't like to let cars in with trailers. So the rear guy in the back can come over, set a pick, and then the guy in front with the trailer is now easily able to move over. So we can move the convoys around through town a lot easier. So anyway, this Alaska trip was Atigun in the front, which is the truck right here. And then it was the Forerunner towing the trailer. And then behind that was Raven. And Raven was the lightest and most nimble truck. This one's heavier because of all the production gear, all the tools, all the etc. So we put the lightest, fastest, most nimble truck in the rear. That's why the convoy order is the way it is. There's reasons behind that. So there's little inside tips there. We also knew that the front truck not needing to be having a tent on it and everything is when you swing into camp, that's the one that usually points out first and is able to leave camp and come back to it. It's not stuck in however you circle the wagons at night. You're not backing it out or whatever. It's just things that add up over time. You might say, oh, we're kind of overthinking it. Yeah, maybe we are. But there's just these things that create less drag over time when you do it a lot, that you say, oh, we should do it this way. And it's actually easier. And it works out really well. So yeah, your best driver needs to be the guy in the back. And the second best driver needs to be the guy towing the trailer. And your best navigator needs to be in the front vehicle. And your third best driver needs to be in the front vehicle. So you might think that would be the opposite, but the whip, the guy in the back just gets thrown around. If he's not on his game and he's not giving proper distances and stuff like that, then that truck is always getting abused. So you want your best driver back there.
I love this question.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the names for the trucks this year? There's always a story.
There's a story behind. So Atigun, we had all kinds of names for Atigun, and we caused ourselves a problem in post-production. We actually had this truck named Rev for quite a while. And then when we crossed Atigun Pass in Alaska, we were like, dude, this is so spectacular. This is a place I've wanted to come back to forever. And this is the lead truck in the convoy. We should name it Atigun. It just kind of landed on me. And so that's how it got picked. The problem was we had to fix that in post-production. So every time up until episode 4, you hear the word Atigun in post, we actually had to fix it in post-production. So
Rev couldn't, it was too garbled on.
Oh yeah. And there was Rev and Raven. And when we had Rev and Raven, I'm going to screw myself up now just thinking about it. You get on the radio and your brain would just flip them. And then you couldn't tell, were you saying Rev and Raven? They were just too close. So we were looking for something to segregate those names further. So phonically, if that's a word, they would be more audibly distinctive on the radio because people were getting confused. 2 people were answering the radio all the time. The one in the lead truck and the guy in the back. And we're like, oh, wait, this isn't working. This is confusing. So that's how we got that. Raven. Raven, okay, originally this truck, this design was going to be named Raven because it is the replicant. That's not a word either, but it's the version of what we built with the Gladiator Odin. As we drove around, we were like, this truck is cool. Odin was awesome, but it would be way better if it was a Tacoma built the same way. So Odin in Norse mythology is replicated or seen, can't talk, seen at a raven, right? So this truck was originally going to be Raven with the wings and everything. And that comes from kind of honoring my buddy Travis Swanson, who was killed in 2019 in a climbing accident. He's been on a couple of our shows throughout the years, and he was like a walking Viking man. And like it was long story, but anyway, we wanted to name Odin after him. And then so that's how Raven kind of came to be. But we had already been naming the trucks in their build process Raven and whatever this one was. And then we ended up swapping the PCOR on those two trucks. So it was designed to originally go to Raven, but then how the build process was going, we could maximize the efficiency by swapping the two trucks. And that's how the Atigun wound up with the PCOR on it. So a lot of inside baseball right there. I don't know if it's that interesting, but that's how they came to be. Tanner says, yeah, it got confusing quick. It's still kind of confusing sometimes when we talk about, because we were like, wait a minute, that was when, okay, no, that was before. That's how our conversations go most of the time.
Yeah. Okay.
So another giveaway time.
Yes. And Tanner just brought up a good thing.
Okay.
We have these as well. A new.
Yeah, we do. These are
limited
awesome.
Alaska t-shirt design that Steph and Alex
Check it out.
did.
Float
You'll see why
plane.
that's important in episode 1.
Yeah, that is I don't know if it's the exact beaver that we were in, but that's a de Havilland beaver.
Can't give away too much.
Yeah. So anyway, these are a special edition shirt that we're doing right now. Should we give it away? Do I get to give this away? Did I jump the rails?
You did just jump the rails, but it's done now.
We're gonna give it away.
You're gonna give it away.
So
Sorry, Steph.
sorry, Steph. I'm giving one away.
Okay.
So, all right. I want if you're gonna win this, no, don't type yet. Don't type.
Cyrus.
Let's see. I want the name that you would have named Atigun, and the best one that I think is the best in the next 5 seconds is the one that I'm going to pick for you to win this. So I'm waiting.
This is like a game of apples to apples.
I don't know what that game is.
Banger.
Oh, come on. Bangerang. Dingo, mine, Pedro.
Oh, man. You got to read fast.
Oh, yeah.
Bushcraft.
Whoa.
Wow. Pizza runner. That's funny.
Atlas. I liked Atlas. Whoever said
Who had
Atlas.
Atlas. Now you got to scroll back and find it.
Okay. I found Atlas. Man, that grabbed me. A, all caps. Good idea.
Okay. What about a next one for a hat?
Next one for. There's some hilarious names.
I know. We could say here.
Some of those names I would never name my truck because.
Power.
Yeah, that's right. Some of those have. I like Trigger. Robbie, Trigger. That's a good name too.
Okay.
He got the hat.
Amy's
Rob E. Amy, Rob E. got the hat. A lot of great names in there. Anyway, I'm going to screen capture all those names for later.
Don't
Just kidding.
accidentally
Just
hit
kidding.
end. I wouldn't. Yeah.
So
Sorry.
sweet.
Awesome. Cyrus, you want to say hi quick?
Hi, guys.
Cyrus is in here because I make him work.
He also just has. Do you want to? People were asking if you got your driver's license. He did, but
Yep.
now we call him Teen Uber because he goes and gets our dinner when we're working late.
Like he's going to get it tonight.
Yeah. Did you order dinner?
Yeah.
Shelly, you're in
Awesome.
Cyrus's light again.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm out.
Awesome.
Cool. Okay, there was a good question I had.
Okay. Another question came in.
What
I'll
was
run
the
off that one.
question? Stand by. One guy was wondering about the rear lockers because the Tacomas come with the factory rear
Okay.
e-locker.
Yep.
we didn't remove those
No.
when we regeared,
No,
correct?
we used the, getting into the builds a little bit further, thinking of the ground up, we decided on the tires, which was the 35-inch tire. We wanted to do that because we hadn't done it before, and it was very interesting to us. And we knew that we were going to do more aggressive terrain, so we wanted a bigger tire. So that dictated the gearing that we did. So we went to the 526 gears to turn the tires. Then that automatically says you're pulling the gears out, you're pulling the diffs out. That's the perfect time to add lockers. So if you're not locked in the front and the rear already, you would lock the rears first. And then you would, if you have the money and the time, you would lock the rear and the front. These are TRD Pros, these are just TRD off-roads. So they come with a factory locker, and they are really good. And they actuate really well, and they still work with the nitro gear gearing. So we didn't mess with the rear. It's also cost savings. Plus, it's integrated into the switching of the dash and everything. A lot of people are like, well, I would just put an air locker in. There is something to say that they're stronger, but for what we're doing and how we use these trucks, I've never come across anybody where a factory e-locker has failed them, and the convenience of it locking up, working on its own outside of an air system. I like that. So I want to maintain it. But we did want a locker in the front because over the years, as we've had those, you kind of find out that once you have a truck or any vehicle with front and rear lockers, they turn into very extreme capable machines at the very edge of performance, So we did that too. So these trucks are locked front and rear. The front is ARB air lockers run by a twin air compressor. Even though we've re-geared them to the 526, 529 gears, so I'm gonna have to double check that. I get them all swapped in my brain all the time. But anyway, that gearing ratio has been awesome. It was so good. Back to our earlier conversation that I said, all right, let's do that to X3 as well, the X3 Tacoma, the one back there. So that's going to get re-geared again. At the time when we re-geared X3 Meridian, those deeper gears from Nitro didn't exist at the time. So now that there's there, and after we've been driving these, we're like, that's the gear ratio with these heavy trucks that we want in all of them, because they drove so nice. So yeah.
Kurt asked if that's your natural hair color.
Oh, it's would you say strawberry blonde? Kurt's seen it.
And then someone asked what our connection was to Dr. John.
Dr. John. Dr. John is a fantastic character in this episodic series. I got to know Dr. John in, okay, here's the subject's going to come up, the Greenland Expedition. I said it. On our trip to cover the Greenland ice cap from south to north with E7 and Arctic trucks, there was a team of 7 of us in 2018 that crossed the ice cap, and Dr. John was one of those 7. He was picked for his expertise in wilderness medicine. He's a fellow of the Wilderness Medicine Medical Institute. I get that wrong, but he's highly, highly educated. He's also the doctor for Overland Journal, the head that looks into all the articles on medicine that comes out for Overland Journal and Expedition Portal. And as I got to know him and travel with him, he's just top grade A guy. So we had a different expedition planned at the beginning, but due to COVID and things like that, we weren't able to do it. So I called John back up and I said, hey, we've got this other trip now that we're doing in Alaska, and it's a different type of trip, but are you still interested in going? And he thought about it. As it's completely different. Got this. Yeah, it's too long of a story, but he came back to me a few days later and he said, yeah, I still want to go. And I just talked with him yesterday on a Zoom call, and he was just saying that it was still one of the best trips of his life. So, and it was for me as well. So I'm really glad that Dr. John was able to come, and that's how we got to know Dr. John. Greenland.
30-second explanation. Where's Greenland?
Where is Greenland?
No, the film.
I was going to say well,
I know where Greenland is.
So I don't own that film. The film is called Wolfland. You can see a trailer on it. It's out there on the internets, but That is still in process to be distributed to higher level distribution points, aggregated at a higher level distribution point. So you can say Netflix, Amazon, Hulu's, etc. And that is a completely different world on how you monetize that, make money at it, distribute it, and doing it right. So the play there is not necessarily in my hands. It isn't in my hands, but it's in the queue always to be revealed at some point. We're just working through all that stuff. And I actually owe Greg Miller a phone call on that to catch up with him, see how things are going. So that's where the Greenland film is. It's parked, but ready to go.
Okay. The $1 million question.
The $1 million question.
Forerunner or Tacoma?
Dun, dun, dun. Forerunner or Tacoma?
Especially for family overlanding.
That's a good question. I mean, they both can serve you really well. It just depends on how you set it up. The Forerunner interiors are nicer. You can fit a lot more stuff in a Tacoma. The drivability and the livability of driving is better in a Forerunner than a Tacoma, but they're both now, I mean, with the newest trucks, the newest Tacomas, their fit and finish inside is really nice. That's tough to say. So I absolutely love a Tacoma that has a habitat or the Go Fast camper on the back. Like the functionality of two people operating out of that, living out of that, camping out of it is, to me, the pick that I would have. If I was towing something and had a family of 4 with me, obviously once you get into family of 5, it, changes a little bit, but let's just go on the family of 4. I would go with Forerunner. So, yeah, I mean, if I had to say anything, it would be Land Cruiser. Shelly's whispering over here, or the new LX 600, which is the equivalent of the new 300 that we can get here in the US through Lexus. So, yeah, I mean, you can't lose with either one. They're really good. And I'm not just fanboying. I'd say one is better than the other. It's just, I like the engine in the Forerunner better than I like the engine in the Tacoma, I guess. But once you build them and do them right, the way we do, doesn't really matter. If I had to pick one truck and I had 2 vehicles sitting, if I had the Clone sitting there and I had Atigun or Raven, I would run to one of the Tacomas if I had my family with me. I'm sorry I can't give you a very straight answer, because I think there isn't a good answer because everybody's needs are so different. So anyway.
How many hats have you given away?
I think we've given away 3 hats.
3? Okay.
3 and a shirt that I wasn't supposed to.
If anyone wants to buy a hat or a shirt, they get a free patch for 24 hours while we're launching Alaska.
Lexus equals Clay gets his nails done and hair colored. They made me do it. What do you think about GX 470s? Amazing. The GX platform is incredible. Supercharge the Tacomas. Haha. Neil.
That'd be sweet.
I drove a stock supercharged Tacoma last month, and it had the Magnuson in it, and it was great. It was really cool. I still don't know if I would do that for international travel, though. I've kind of made the decision I wouldn't, because I had to make that decision recently.
I'm reading comments. This
Clint,
is awesome.
my brother, when are you going to build out a Toyota Sienna? It's all-wheel drive.
He's right.
Just saying.
He's not wrong.
Never.
I
have values.
Court Wiggins, thanks for buying a shirt. We really appreciate it.
Hey, awesome. Thank you.
And yes, we do have decals still. All of our previous merch, a lot of it moved over to shopoverlander.com.
Yep.
And then there's a whole ton of new stuff too. So you'll have to check it out.
Yeah, you guys, we are building with the Overlander brand and all of our merch over there at shopoverlander.com. We have big visions, and we've got a team over there that is building incredible stuff. You haven't even seen the half of it that we've been working on. COVID has really made designing and building clothes in the world right now one of the probably most challenging times in the last 50 years. So we jumped into that right at the the toughest time ever, but we're still getting it done. That team over there is still getting it done. And the stuff that we've been looking at and improving, just wait, guys. It's awesome.
It's from the ground up. So
from the ground up.
fabrics, threads, everything is from the ground up.
And
so
the designers
it's
that are
coming.
working on this stuff are from top name brands. Like think of it. If it's been in the adventure world, the team that is building the designs and the clothes around Overlander are from those companies. So stay tuned, hang with us. Right now it's a lot of graphic tees and stuff, but man, there's a lot of great stuff coming. So, and so many of you have already purchased t-shirts and hats and all that. And that's awesome. That fuels our adventure. That builds our vision, because if we can stand up more, frankly, more financial arms into Expedition Overland, it allows us to achieve greater things. And it allows us to think different too when we have different revenue streams, just like you could in real life. It works the same with business too.
Mm-hmm. And it
so
feeds a lot of families.
And it feeds a lot of families.
They are all very appreciative, and so are we. So thank you.
And they are all putting their hearts and souls and time and blood, sweat, and tears in all of this, just like we've done forever. But all of these team members are doing the same thing, sacrifice and stuff. So thank you for your support on all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who gets another hat?
Let's see. I don't know how. I'm just going to randomly pick one.
Fan meet up at the X hangar. We do need to figure that out. Me. It's really funny to watch him just like.
Steven Shred said me. And he was Tyler Edwards.
Oh, but
technically
me,
but he misspelled it. So
He's
Steven Shreds is going to get it because he properly spelled me first. So Steven Shreds, you've just won yourself a hat. It's brutal, but life isn't fair, but that is fair. He properly spelled it. So
he was so excited he misspelled it.
That's ruthless. So the nights that say me.
Awesome. Okay, so it's 6:42.
Okay.
Do you want to dive in a little bit about the kind of the vision behind Alaska? These episodes are like mini films.
They are. The Alaska series here, this 5-part series, is really some of our best work, I think. It's the culmination of years of storytelling, putting it together, going back to somewhere where you're a little familiar. That always helps. And but then leveling up our storytelling, our cinematography. We ran new cameras this year on that particular one. They hadn't arrived yet for the Baja series. We were hoping they would, but it's the new FX6 from Sony, full frame, Super 35. And the Alaska stuff just looks so nice. And the storytelling was really great. Everybody on the team was really working towards story the whole time. And I think it has made the best 5-part series story-wise that we've produced yet. So we applied a lot of the lessons that we learned in shooting and producing the Wolfland film, a 90-minute feature. And we took what we knew from that and applied it into these 5 parts. And I think it made a difference. We really pushed the envelope with music. There's a lot of orchestrated stuff in here. There's a lot of symphony. And I love it. I was the whole time when we were editing this, I'd get far more what I get into what we call the zone or the flow state because of the music selections that we were in. So I really hope that you guys enjoy that too. You can see that we're breaking new barriers here and there, and it's always just slight adjustments, right? We never have really outwardly change things up dramatically. But the biggest dramatic change that you'll see right now is that we don't talk a whole lot about the truck's build specs in the first episode. We just released that first, the truck build behind the scenes thing, because it took its own 30-minute story to tell that at the level that it was. It could have been 2 hours if you wanted it to be. But you'll see that we're like looking and shifting towards like bigger storytelling elements. Proud of it. I'm really proud of it. I don't know what else to say about it. Alaska, if you guys are thinking about going to Alaska, I know it's on the bucket list for pretty much everybody I talk to, and rightfully so. It is an amazing place to go. And it is a wonderfully soft, but yet rugged place to really stretch your wings for the first time. You can certainly find yourself in trouble up there, but there's not a lot of roads in Alaska. You'll see it. I challenge any of you. A lot of people have this preconceived notion that you can drive all over Alaska. No, there's actually a pretty limited amount of space that if this is Alaska, you're able to drive in about this much of it. The rest of it is all fly out boats, very remote access. So that's why you see a lot of people do the same trips up in Alaska, because you're restricted to where you can drive.
4 or 5 main roads, right?
Yeah, really there is.
Yeah.
So the scenery, the people, the wildlife, even though we didn't see much on this trip, it's great. And if you can get into the Yukon, hopefully as the world opens up, spend time over there too, because that is another wonderful place in the world. So, yeah.
How did we find, I'm trying to remember, somebody asked about how to find the ferry information. And a lot of this stuff, we just start by Googling it. How to take a ferry to Alaska.
Yeah,
and the website will pop up, and then it has different dates and times. You can choose a cabin. You don't have to do cabin. The cool thing about that ferry, Peter and Dan, so the Epic Family Road Trip boys were with on this trip as well. They wanted to pitch a tent out on the boat, right? And you can do that. You can sleep outside.
I think it's free to go outside. It costs money to have a berth, or,
cabin, with a shower and a bathroom,
which was awesome. It made it really nice. But a lot of the folks that were there were just camping out on the top, and it was, I mean, what a fun adventure,
Yeah.
So it's the Alaska Marine Highway. Look up the Alaska Marine Highway ferry system. We were on the Kennecott, which has been running since 95 or something like that. It was built in Houston, sailed through the Panama Canal, and then sailed up the West Coast to its first station.
That's cool.
And it's been doing the in 95 or 98 or something like that. So yeah, pretty cool. It's a great way to see it. If I would do it one way, I would take it up to Alaska. I would take the ferry up to Alaska, explore all of it, and then take the Cassiar Highway down through British Columbia on the way home. If you wanted to go the other way, it'd be nice, but the scenery gets better from the boat as you go from Seattle to Anchorage, and it would slowly, become just more West Coast, Seattle forest looking once you get down halfway. So
that'd be
anyway,
cool. Yeah. Awesome. I'm reading through comments, so that's why I'm squinting.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nathan. Thanks for listening to the podcast. That's awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I've had a couple of people ask when I'm going to lead a ladies trip.
Never.
Whatever. We talk about it all the time, so I need to just do it.
This is a great question. Tyler Edwards says, the high-end Toyotas have shocks from Fox. Why would you switch over to Icon shocks? That's great. Well, let's pull the brands out of it for a second and just keep it technical. So the Fox shocks have been designed by the TRD Off-Road, TRD Pro team to have the proper damping and compression and rebound for a stock weighted Tacoma under the performance specs that they want out of a stock vehicle. It's kind of a mouthful, but there's a reason they have to do that. For one, they have to do all the testing and compliance stuff for federal law, that it has to reach all these specs, etc. So that means that the vehicle can only weigh so much. It can't be changed more than a certain percentage. I learned all this stuff just recently when we took a development trip with Lexus team here. I had no idea the amount of stuff that goes into a 6-year build process to build a new vehicle. So they take all of these total weights, etc., and its design specs, and then a lot of stuff goes into why a shock is valved the way it is for the performance spec that they want that meets legal requirements. So then they go out and they shop it. Fox is like, yep, I can supply that. So Fox is the winner of that bid, supplies all the top end stuff. They're good shock for sure. As soon as You take that truck wildly out of its spec, that shock is no longer doing its job. Not that it's a bad shock, it's just that it's now outside of its spec. So the valving that it needs to hold the weights that you've now put on the trucks, these trucks are heavy. It takes a special shock valved specifically for that weight to work well. So that's why we would pull the Fox shock off, go to Icon. We've worked with Icon for years, since 2013. And they are able to valve these shocks exactly to what we want. Now, these are the new shocks. These are the electronic shocks, the CDEVs. And Dylan, the lead engineer down there, one of the owners, he just knew our trucks so well because we built several of them before, that he spec'd out what they were. I gave him the weights of what I think the trucks were going to be from my build plan, and he nailed it. Like, I have if anything, I was going to soften these shocks just a little bit. So, but they're great. So that's why you would wander from a stock shock to something else. And that could be whatever. It could be an Old Man Emu. If you look at that, they have different weight ratings, stock or medium plus 400 pounds over stock, or heavies, which are plus 800, depending on the model, etc. If you're looking into Old Man Emu stuff, call Kurt at Cruiser Outfitters. He'll help you figure all that out. He's on our team. So,
All right,
yeah.
We've got like 4 minutes to wrap this up. You get to give away one more hat.
Oh.
And really cool, we hit over 500 people watching on the live.
That's awesome.
I think it's
500.
a record.
Wow.
I feel like that's a record. That's pretty cool. Thank you, guys. Me, Clay, please.
That one sailed.
Jeff Smegpole hat. That is a cool hat. Mad Hatter.
I'm looking. Nothing.
Ooh, I'd love to rep my hat from Texas to Alaska. That was pretty
Dude.
good. Done.
That one. From Texas to Alaska. Hopefully that means you're going on a trip, and therefore you deserve a hat.
Yes. Agreed.
So that is my Keys GX. I probably said that wrong. I offended you. I'm sorry. Mikey's GX. That's what it is.
Mikey's, yeah.
There we
it's like
go.
a license plate.
I'm a little slow. Awesome.
Cool. Ooh, Jeff and Heather, great.
Jeff and Heather are great. Just had a little kiddo. They're just wonderful. So many people, guys from Colombia, from Chile, Australia. Yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We have a great show for you tonight. The 5-part series kicks off. Please, all of you, if you would, share this with your community of people. They don't even have to be into overlanding. Hopefully they just want to be inspired by adventure travel. And that's why Rochelle and I do this. Overlanding just happens to be the method that we get to go see the world and we're passionate about, but making shows, adventure travel shows that show people getting out of their comfort zone, expanding their horizons, overcoming things, hopefully will make the world a better place. And that's what gets us out of bed in the morning. It's not all the trucks and the fancy shocks and the fancy tires and all that keep us going. That's all awesome. Don't get me wrong. It's fun. It is fun. But what really keeps us going over the years is knowing that we're hopefully making an impact in people's lives. And I see a lot of people saying that we've made a difference in the show, and that's everybody on our team. So thank you. Thank you. And thanks for watching and sharing all of our stuff. Help propagate that message if you would. We really rely on you guys the most. We don't spend a whole lot on marketing dollars, etc. So, yeah.
Awesome.
And a lot of you guys have been with us for a long time.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for growing with us. We're always trying to grow and be better people and push the bounds. We love new challenges because it just, at the end of the day, when you're challenged, you come out usually a better person, hopefully.
Absolutely.
And thank you to our team. Tanner was on here tonight. He does a fantastic job with us. Thank you, Kurt. Epic Family Road Trip, Dr. John, everybody who's helped us. Laura Titensor came in and helped us edit. So there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are coming and going and getting this stuff out the door. So we we couldn't do it without everybody else helping us. So thank you.
Yep. And thank you. There's a lot of some of our folks that work behind the sponsor wall here that work for these awesome companies that support us. Thank you. Thank you, Toyota. Thank you, General Tire, Patriot Campers. I mean, they put out a lot to help us and to make these films reality for you guys.
They take a risk on us every year.
Every year they take a risk on us.
They're like, what are you doing? Okay.
And we're always like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah,
and they're like, okay, we believe in you. Go do it.
Yep.
And that's what's really cool. A lot of people have a kind of a weird understanding of sponsorship sometimes, but we have built this ecosystem inside of XO that the people that are sponsoring us, the companies, are actually backed by people. Like I have names for every company. For Toyota, I have names there. For General Tire, I have names that I've worked with for years, and they keep saying, "Yep, we'll go with you. Let's go have an adventure." So thank you to all those folks out there too, if you're watching. Appreciate it. So
thank you. Awesome,
anyway,
guys. All right, we're gonna hop over on the premiere.
All right,
we'll be typing some answers to questions. If you have them, you might just want to sit back and watch it. So, but we'll be there.
Awesome.
See you in a couple of minutes, and thank you all so much. We really appreciate you. Have an awesome night with your family. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Bet. Enjoy the show. Go pop some popcorn. Put it on the big screen. We built it for it. And enjoy the sound and the sights. Catch you later.
Bye, everyone.
Till next time. See ya.